Hebrews chapter 13. It's the last chapter in Hebrews. I want to talk this morning about how we're living life, how we're viewing things with God, and a challenge to us all of where we are and what we're doing. Hebrews 13, and let's see, I think I start in verse 10. I'll read verse 10 through probably 14 or so. We believe Paul was the writer. Paul's writing to the Jewish congregations, and he says, listen, we have an altar from which those who serve the tabernacle have no right to eat. He's talking about the altar that was created under the law and what Moses provided. And in Hebrews, he's drawing correlations between the Old Testament and the New Covenant, and he's showing them that this was a shadow of what Jesus was going to do. This was an opening. This was the beginning. This was to show you so that when Jesus came and fulfilled it, you would see it and you'd understand the connection. He says, we have an altar from which those who serve the tabernacle have no right to eat. For the bodies of those animals whose blood is brought into the holy place by the high priest as an offering for sin are burned outside the camp. Therefore, Jesus also, that he might sanctify the people through his own blood, he suffered outside the gate. Therefore, let us go out to him outside the camp, bearing his reproach. For here, where we live here, we do not have a lasting city, but we are seeking the city which is to come. So what is this that we're told? He says, hence, from this point forward, let us go out to Jesus. He is outside the camp. And let's bear his reproach as we go out of the city. This is so challenging for us. So I want you to see an image of yourself this morning and see where you are in your walk with Father. You know, the first thing he says is we have to go out. And if you want to look at the camp, you'll find it when Moses set up the tent of meeting, and particularly after the golden calf incident, when he was up receiving the 10 Commandments, he was receiving the law, and while he was gone for 40 days, the people played the fool, and Aaron, the high priest that had been appointed to serve and help Moses, he played the fool with them. They made a golden calf, something that they could relate to, and they began to worship it. They said, we don't know what happened to Moses, but we got a golden calf, and it just formed. Aaron says, I don't know, I put the gold in the fire and it just came out. Well, that's nonsense. But the golden calf became their focus, and they're worshiping this calf and they're sacrificing to it, and the golden calf's now going to lead us to the promised land. It's so absolutely ridiculous a vision to see that you start something out. You start out with God. You start out with holiness. You start out with a God that destroyed an entire army of people that had enslaved you. And within a short period of time, you now say, whatever happened to Moses, it's the same thing as saying, whatever happened to God, I don't know what happened to God. He's gone. He's not showing up. We need something to lead us. So they got something that they could recognize and that they could know. They bring him into the camp. Moses comes down from Sinai, sees this nonsense going on, literally crushes the commandments that God had given, breaks them at the foot of the mountain, rebukes the people, has to intercede for the people. A lot of them got slaughtered for this nonsense. This is a terrible breaking of covenant trust. From that point on, what Moses would do is he would set up a tent of meeting, and it was outside the camp. He would take his place and his tent, and he would set it up the place where God would meet with man. And it was outside quite a ways from the camp. Because God said, at that point, you can go look at in Exodus, it's like chapter 32, 33. And God says, you're going to lead these people up, and I'm going to fulfill what I said, because I'm God. I'm going to fulfill my promise. But you're going to take these people up, and I can't dwell with them. If I dwell in their camp, if I walk amongst them right now, I would destroy them, because they're an obstinate people. And I can't dwell in an obstinate place. I just can't. I can't do it. It's for the sake of these people that I can't dwell with them. I'll meet you out here. And the people that want to seek me, they can go out to me outside the camp and they can come. Well, I got to tell you, not many of them ever went out there. But they would watch Moses when he went out. Moses would go outside the camp when he had questions and concerns and needs. And he would meet with God, and they would watch the pillar come over the tent of meeting, and they would watch the presence of God come down, and they would all stand at their tent and they would watch, and they would worship. This is amazing. I'm watching this happen. But they didn't want to go out there. Listen, these are the same folks that when God brought them to himself and said, I'm going to reveal myself, I'm going to speak, they're going to hear my voice, they're going to hear my thunder, my pealings, they're going to hear me from heaven. I'm going to declare myself to them. And when he started talking to them, these people, they were terrified at the presence of God. And they told Moses, you go and you hear what God has for us and bring it back to us, because we're afraid. We're scared to death. Moses told them, you don't have to be afraid of your father. But they didn't want to do that. Closeness with God is something that we say that we want. But when God begins to reveal himself in our lives, we often don't want to go all the way. It scares us. So I'm going to talk about that for a minute. We're told that from now on, let's go to him outside the camp bearing his reproach. What was this reproach that Jesus bore? What is reproach? The shame, the disgrace, being hung on a cross as a criminal, as a common criminal, as you would hang a thief or a murderer. The reproach of the Son of God, who, as the Pharisees said, he can't even deliver himself. He's going to deliver us. The reproach that men hurled at him. The insults, pulling out his beard, beating him with rods, whipping him with a bone whip, making him wear a thorny crown on his head so the blood came down his brow. Mocking him, constantly mocking him the whole time. Cursing him, laughing at him, looking at him up there and thinking, yeah, he said he was. The reproach of Christ. That's where Jesus bled and died. It was outside the camp. It was away from what people thought how he should come. All of those guys were looking for somebody to come on a white horse. They were looking for somebody to eliminate the Roman Empire. They were looking for somebody to be an earthly king. They missed him. They missed him because they didn't want to go outside of where they were at. They didn't want to leave behind what they knew. They wanted what they understood, and they didn't want to accept the new thing that God was doing. God says, before I do it, I declare it. Will you not see it? Before I do this thing, I'm going to show you. Will you not see it? If you ever wondered why the gate is narrow, when God says the gate is narrow that leads to life, and few are there who find it, if that doesn't make you concerned about your walk with Father, that the gate is narrow, you have to press into it, going out to Jesus. Going out to Jesus is a surrendering of your life. Jesus gave his life as a ransom for you and I, that we might likewise follow him out to Golgotha, that you might follow him, he says, take up your cross and follow me. To where? To where I'm going. Where am I going? I'm going to die. I want you to die to yourself, that you might live to me. Your life is not your own. If your life is your own and you're preserving your life, I'm going to show you what that looks like, just so that there's no mistake. There's a lot of Christians, people who believe that they are Christians, that when they leave the camp, they start stepping out because they know they're supposed to. And it reminds me of when I go to stay at the beach. You ever look at advertisements when you go to stay at the beach, and it says ocean front, ocean view, near the ocean, right? You start getting this idea, and the price is always, the further I get away from the water, the less expensive it is. The closer I get to the water, the more expensive it is. And, God wants you to have your feet in the water. He wants you all the way there. But a lot of Christians don't want to pay the price to be in the water. So they look and they try and figure out, well, how close can I get? What can I pay so that I'm still at the beach, but not necessarily, I don't want to pay the full price to actually be in the water? Well, I got a deal for you, Satan says. I got this place that's about 5 blocks off ocean front, and you can park there. We'll even throw in 2 free parking spaces for you. And you can walk to the beach whenever it hits you. We'll even provide a shuttle service so you can make sure that you get in the water. How many times do we approach our life with Christ like this? It's like, well, how close is close enough? Because the closer I get, the narrower the path, the more I have to lay down my life. And some of us kind of like our life. We like to hang on to life. We like what we do. We like the things that are important to us, that we don't necessarily vet with Father. We don't ask him what's important to him because it's important to us. It's our little golden calf. It's what we threw into the fire and it's what came out. It's what we like. It may even be, listen, we think that we're worshiping God. We think that we're doing service to God, but it's in our image. We've created God in our image, and we're going to serve this God that we've created the way that we think it's best. We don't even ask. Well, just do this. This makes me feel good. Well, I'm pretty close to the beach. And then you get some that really want to sell out, and they get there and they say, well, I have ocean view. I can see the cross from where I am. I can see it. This is as close as I want to get. This is as close to Jesus as I'm comfortable with. Moses, you go talk to him and you tell me. Preacher, you talk to God and you tell me what God said, and that's enough for me. I got an ocean view here, and I'm happy with that. God is a little bit of distance so that I don't have to get confronted all the time about the stuff that God really wants to deal with in my heart. He's called you to himself. He hasn't called you to another person. He's called you to himself. God's constantly trying to restore relationship with his children. He's constantly calling you like he called Adam in the garden. Adam, where are you? Where are you, Adam? Used to come down and walk with him every day. Comes down, where are you? Well, I'm hiding. I'm hiding. Can't be close to you right now. And we don't want to be that close to God because of what we think God's going to make us give up. As if God would, listen, as if God would make you give up something that somehow is so much better than what he would give you. What is it that you're not willing to sacrifice? What is it that you're not willing to lay down? I got people I known in my life, and I've been one of them. I move out of that city. I'm going to Jesus. I'm going to go out to the cross. I'm selling myself to the cross. That's where I'm headed. And you get outside the gate, And when you listen, man, I remember when I first started out, and when I got outside the gate, I thought I was there. I thought I was there. This road that you're walking is what Paul talked about in the previous chapter. He says, listen, pursue peace with all men and the sanctification without which no one will see the Lord. Come see to it that no one comes short of the grace of God. See to it that you don't come short of reaching the destination. The pathway between you leaving the city where you are, where you're comfortable, and where the cross is in your life, that's sanctification. That's stripping away the you and replacing it with Jesus. It's taking away the known things that you hang on to, the stuff that you rely on instead of God, the stuff that you don't even ask about anymore because it's so much a part of who you are. It's the thing that you'll say to somebody when they press you on it. You'll say, that's just who I am. That's just who I am. You just got to accept me because that's just who I am. Bingo. That's just who you are. But that's not who Christ is. Who is he in you? Is he in you, or are you just got an ocean view? Where are you in your walk with this man, Jesus? Where are you with the Son of God? He's begging you to come out from among them. Come out from among them and be separate. Separate yourself. Come to the cross. Come on the road. Start the journey. Start the sanctification that's one step at a time towards the cross. Start it. He says, I got out. I remember when I finally got out a little bit far from the wall, and I got out of the shade of the city, and then I finally caught somebody's attention up on the wall. Hey, you, get back over here. Can't be straying out there like that. Come on back. First it was ridicule and shame. Oh, you're going to be one of them now? Oh, you're going to do that? Well, you think you are. You think you're better than me? Well, no. My Savior has called me. My ears are listening to what's behind me. How do you respond to that? Are you even far enough out from the wall that they see you? Or are you really, really comfortable in the shade, where the shade line is? And that's where it stops. Oh, I'm outside the camp, preacher. I'm outside the camp. I can see the cross. Yeah, but you're not bearing anything. Your sanctification ended right there. Your sanctification ended when you were 13, 14 years old, and you came down front, and they asked you, and you said, yes, I believe. And it got you out there to the shade line, and that's where your growth ended right there. It ended right there. And you set up camp, got your own little camp out there. And some people, maybe they venture out a little bit further, and they start getting the ridicule, and then they set up camp. Give me a tent. I need to be sheltered from the stuff that's coming at me. 1,000 lights out there on the horizon that you can see from the wall of people that have gone out and decided, well, that's far enough. This is as far as I'm going. I'm comfortable right here. Are you comfortable where you are? Is your sanctification over? Have you gone out to the place of comfort and rest that God provides? Or have you gone out so far and created your own comfort and your own rest that you provide? And you get up every day and you stand at the tent, just like they did when they watched Moses. You stood at the tent and you watched from afar God show up and minister to somebody who he called a friend. It says Moses had this relationship with God, that God spoke to him face to face as a friend. It's the same relationship that he had with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. He was a friend. It's the same relationship that he's always had with his sons and daughters. That they come boldly because they recognize who he is. And what stops us? Fear. Fear. We're afraid. You're afraid to give up this life that you've padded so well. I'm afraid. You know, the thing about fear is it displaces my understanding of who God. If I really understood who God was in my life, if I really understood who God was in my life, that he is the King of glory, if I knew that, exactly what would I be afraid of? What is there to fear? Jesus said, I'll tell you who to fear. He says, don't be afraid of man, that the only thing he can do is take your life in this life. The only thing he can do is kill you. Don't be afraid of somebody that the only thing they can touch in your life is your physical comfort. The only thing they can touch is where you live. The only thing they can touch is this life that you live now. Don't be afraid of those people. Jesus said, I'll tell you who you should be concerned about. You should be concerned about him who, once the body is destroyed, has the ability to throw into hell fire. Now that's somebody you ought to be concerned about. That should be the idea that you have is, hey, I'm not worried about man. What can man do to me? What does a man insult mean to me? What does a man lying about me mean to me? What does it matter? It doesn't. Only thing that matters in my life is Jesus Christ. I'm going out to the camp. I'm going away from it. I'm moving out from it. I don't want to see it in my rearview mirror. I don't want to long for it like Lot's wife. I don't want to think about it anymore. All I want to think about is, how do I get one step closer to Golgotha? How do I move 1 meter closer to where my Savior died? Because I've got a cross that I'm carrying too. And if I don't feel the weight of it, if I don't feel the weight of my cross, if I don't feel the weight of my sanctification as I move towards Christ, I'm not even with him. If you're carrying a pillow on your back, you're not with Jesus. I don't know where you are, but you're not with Christ. Do you want to be like the people that showed up for the wedding? And he says, where are your wedding garments? Where's your invitation? Where is it? You're not dressed for this. Well, we thought we could show up. You're not invited. Your name's not on the list. Well, listen, church, what good will this life be then? What if God gives you 65, 75, 85, 95, however many short years he gives you? I looked in the mirror the other day and I was 40. And now I'm going, holy cow. What happened in the last 25 years? I remember when I was a kid. It wasn't that long ago. What am I going to be dressed in? Am I on the road? Am I moving? I don't care how agonizingly slow you think it is. I don't care how slow you think it is. Are you moving forward towards Christ? Are you every day taking up your cross and going outside the camp? Or are you satisfied with an ocean view? You like seeing him, or do you want to be with him? Because seeing him is not enough, church. Seeing him's not enough. Listen, if casting out devils, if speaking in tongues, if prophesying, if being ministering great gracious gifts, if doing all those things is not enough, because Jesus says, depart from me, I never knew you. You and I were never friends. I didn't have that kind of relationship with you. He doesn't deny the fact that you had a view of the cross. He just says he had no intimacy with you. What do you think it means when he says the way is narrow and few there be who find it? It means that most of the funerals that you and I attend are burying people that did not find him. They didn't find him. And we act like they did. God knows. Few. I thought the Marines had a good thing. The few, the proud, the Marines. You know? I love the way that they used to recruit. They'd go to a high school or whatever, and I remember one particular story, and I remember seeing some of this stuff done. And the Army guys and the Navy guys, the Air Force guys, the Coast Guard guys, they all stand up and tell them all the wonderful things and the opportunities that you'll have. You know, be all you can be and get high, you know, travel with us. We'll let you see the world and come with us, and we'll teach you all these different trade skills that'll help you in life. We're going to do all these things for you. This is what we're going to do for you. And a Marine, you know, old drill sergeant stood up there and said, looks around the group, goes, I don't see anybody here that can even be a Marine. I don't see any of you that can even make it. I don't believe any one of you could even become a Marine. I don't even know why I'm wasting my time talking to you about being a Marine. And that was his pitch. And the line to him was a lot longer than the line to find out about the other people. Because what he offered was the opportunity for something great outside of themselves, something that you can't achieve without sacrifice and without great pain. It was something that was valued. People looked at him and valued the thing that he valued, and he says, I don't even think you can make it. And they wanted to be there. They wanted to be that person. All of the things that they got didn't matter. It mattered about what they could become. And that's somebody trying to recruit to be in the military. What are we going to do with this relationship with Jesus? When he looks out and says, few there be that find it. Can you imagine what it was like when he told them about how we're going to take communion in a few minutes? Can you imagine what the story was like when Jesus had hundreds of people walking with him? Hundreds. And he tells them, if you don't eat my flesh and drink my blood, you have no part in me. If you don't consume me in your life, if you don't travel outside the camp to where I'm going, if you don't pick up your cross and follow me, you have no part in me. There's nothing about me that you're going to achieve. And it says at that point, the guys are looking going, I don't know about that word. And it says, the word says, not many followed him after that. And he turned to the 12, the apostles. He turned to the 12 and said, you guys going to go away too? You guys going to go away too? And he says to him, Lord, where will we go? Peter says, where are we going? You're the only one that has the words of life. Where am I going? Not that we understand you, but where are we going? Our relationship with Christ is so imperative for us as Christians. The call is great, just like the Marine sergeant laid out. The few. Maybe, he says, maybe you can be one of us. Maybe you can receive Jesus and walk the road in sanctification. Maybe these things will happen for you. But it's not going to be without you pressing on through your sanctification. It's not going to be without you getting outside the comfort zone of your camp. It's not going to be without you laying aside the things that you've come to depend on that spell things out for you. It's going to be you moving out into that thing that God's called you to. So when you take communion this morning, I want you to start by walking out with God and this path that he lays for you. And I ask you to think about the aisle as the leaving of the camp and just coming out to Jesus and meeting him where he is. Listen, wherever you are, if your desire is for God, he'll meet you right where you are. It doesn't matter how weak you think you are or how diminished you are, or you don't even know. If you don't know that you're a Christian, if you don't know whether or not you're even born again, then I'll pray for you. I'll pray for this morning. There's no need for you not to know that. There's no need for you not to know that. Just know that your journey begins at that place of revelation. It comes right there, and you move out in it. So as you take communion this morning, I ask you to put that before God and put that question before Father in your journey, that you not be one of those in the end that stands there extremely disappointed, watching with your ocean view room and figuring it out from there. Let's go all the way with Jesus, all the way.